This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
I would like to share with you a very simple thought. We go back for a moment to Noach. Noach is a tzaddik. Noach is a tamim. Es halakim es halach Noach. The Targum says Noach was a Yarei Shamayim. He builds a teva for 120 years. He warns the people. He admonishes the people. But nobody listened. It fell on deaf ears. How many Talmidim did Noach have? 0. Not even 1. Noach had no effect. And yet we come to Avraham Avinu, v'yas hanefesh asher asu b'charan. And Rashi, of course, says, Shehechnisam tachas kanfei ashchina, Avraham megayeres ha'anoshim, Sarah megayeres es hanoshim. Avraham was successful in producing Talmidim, influencing people to the extent that the Rambam writes in Hilchos Avodah Zarah, Perek Aleph Halacha Gimel, Sheniskabtsu Elav Alafim Uravavos. Avraham had tens of thousands of Talmidim, the envy of any Rosh Yeshiva. The question is, how do we account for the dramatic difference between the results of the efforts of Noach and the results of the efforts of Avraham? There's a beautiful theme that is found in a sefer that is not so well known. The name of the sefer is Lemevuche HaTekufa, written by Harav Moshe Avigdor Amiel, Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, who lived from 1883 to 1946. Rav Amiel was a Talmud of Rav Chaim Brisker. He was a Talmud of Rav Chaim Ozer Grzinski. He received smicha at the age of 18. He was a Rav in Antwerp, in one of the most prestigious positions in the world. Later on, he became the Rav Harashi of Tel Aviv, and he was the most eminent and a very powerful and impressive author. Says Rav Amiel, and this idea is also found in the Sefer Oyal Moshe of a Rav in Flatbush, Rav Moshe Scheiner. He says, prior to Avraham Avinu's arrival on the scene, you look in Parshas Bereshis, you look in Parshas Noach, you will see humanity is described as basar. Yeah? Ki hishchis kol basar es darkai. Kates kol basar. Vayigva kol basar. Vayomer Hashem lo yodain ruchi ba'adam lo olam b'shagam hu basar. Prior to the arrival of Avraham Avinu, people regarded themselves as basar, as just a higher and more sophisticated form of an animal. And what do we see in a world of basar? We see anarchy. We see a world that life is cheap, actions are cheap, relationships are cheap. We see hashchasa, ki hishches kol basar. In a world of basar, you can have no effect. Comes Avraham Avinu to the scene. And what does Avraham Avinu tell them? He tells them one word. V'yes hanefesh asher asu b'charan. Avraham says, you are not basar, you are nefesh, you are soul, you are divine. He reminded people of their divinity. Avraham was so influential that even the king of the wicked Sodom picked up on the lesson of Avraham Avinu. He says to Avraham, I want the people, you keep the spoils. But how does he refer to man? Tenli hanefesh v'harachush kachlach. In a world of nefesh, life has value. Actions are important. Relationships have value. Avraham Avinu revolutionized the concept of marriage. Before Avraham Avinu, what was marriage? Says Adam Arishain, etzem me'atzomai ubasar mi besari v'hayu lebasar echad. Marriage was a physical relationship. Comes Avraham Avinu and he says to Sarah, Imri noach choisiyat L'man yitav li ba'avureich b'choisa nafshi b'glalech. Marriage is no longer only a physical relationship. It's the union of the nefashos. It's the union of the souls. And it's fascinating to note, as Rav Amiel points out, that we know in halacha there are two stages of marriage. There's erusin and nesuin. And you can look in the Gemara that's paskin in the Rambam that arayis min ha'erusin is even more chamer than min ha'nesuin. Identifying for all times that marriage in the hashkafa of the Torah is more appropriately defined as v'choisa nafshi b'glalech, as the meeting and the union of the souls which occurs at erusin, than the v'hayu l'basar echad, which takes place at nesuin. Avraham perhaps succeeded in his influence Because he realized that the dominant feature of the human persona is the nefesh, the tselem Elokim, the godliness that Hashem imbued us with. And Avraham was able to bring this out and illuminate this most majestic quality of Adam. And in the world of nefesh, man is elevated under the tachas kanfei Ashchina. Says the Zohar HaKadosh in Chelek Beis, page Reish Hey, it's quoted many svarim, that what is the purpose of Shabbos? Says the Zohar, Hayoima Yoima Dinishmasaniyu V'lav Yoima de Gufa. Shabbos is the day of the soul, not the guf. Shabbos is the day that we integrate the lesson of Avraham Avinu. Shabbos is the day we remind ourselves we are nefesh. V'yas hanefesh asher asu b'charan. Tenli hanefesh v'arachush kachlach. We elevate our lives, we elevate our relationships, and we remind ourselves we are not just basar. That's the limud of Shabbos, the limud of Avraham Avinu, and this is a limud that will bring us a tremendous aliyah agun Shabbos.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.